BioniChaos.com/jazz. Currently we have a crazy mode button, which sends everything to 100% random. And we have a more real sound generator that's taking your brainwaves, turning them into musical notes. The mapping of the frequency amplitude to notes is real, scientific based. So it's essentially taking the different bands, theta, delta, alpha, beta. Depending on the amplitude in each, it will make a decision to what note to use. Depending on amplitude and frequency. Yes, we have power. All the notes played at the same volume, I'm not sure. There obviously meant to be a play button to this. Let us know if you want me to fire up any of the tools. Do let me know as well. We're happy to work on the tool of your choice, but you'll have to specify which one you checked, what worked, what didn't. BioniChaos was referenced in this article. Supposedly legit, I'm not actually sure. They literally took print screens from that tool that we made. Did it put a reference? Still working? Yeah, it is working. Yeah, so they literally in the paper used print screens. Compression. And they compared the H wavelet and SPIHT, which I don't have. So what did we? So they did the PSNR, which I do measure. Compression ratio, which I do not have. I'm not sure when they took the... Well, what's PSNR? No, PSNR is what we're measuring. It's the signal to noise ratio. No, SPIHT. Hierarchical trees algorithm builds on TW. It's a mediocre paper. We're not going to be going into it. It says a research article, but there's no data being collected or anything. There's no method. Well, thanks for the reference, but yeah, can't. There's nothing, there's no data collected or anything. Yeah, but it's based on this tool that we had on the site for quite some time. Yeah, they used this image in the paper. I probably should have referenced the images are from Radiopedia. They didn't reference Radiopedia. It's like this one of those like recursive references things. Anyhow, yeah, thank you for the reference, but yeah, the paper is not great. So, but yeah, go check out the original tool. I might do an AI review on it as well. It's stage. Yeah, I might be doing the EG2 music stuff. Want to improve. It needs a play button. I also want to make sure when we're selecting the notes, the musical notes, which is working at the moment. But the selection is actually, I'm pretty sure we specified it to begin with. Just when you're listening to it, doesn't sound like the amplitude for the 4 different notes is different. Doesn't sound like it's different for the 4 different notes. Shall we do the quiz first? We have 2 quizzes. One is hard, one is medium. Okay, let's see if I can answer a question about the tool that I developed. Well, considering I developed it with AI, maybe I would not be able to answer it correctly. The question is, how does the real-time signal amplification microscope application extract a pulse signal from a standard webcam video? Because that's what it does. Does it fairly successfully? We'll do a quick test, because we like testing stuff. you could see, well, assuming this variation is not coming from anywhere else, it's safe to assume it's actually coming from my heart rate. There is a chance that's coming through that color reflecting off my head or something, reflecting off my skin and giving the measurement. But I can cover it up like this still, see if the measurement's still there. Yes, it is. So yeah, it's working. And the question was, how does the real-time signal amplification microscope application extract a pulse signal, a heart rate pulse signal from the standard webcam video? The options are detecting infrared heat signatures emitted from the facial surface. Oh, that's a no. It's no infrared. Measuring the electrical resistance of the skin via a camera lens. Obviously no. Analyzing the acoustic vibration captured by the microphone during speech. No. Using Eulerian video magnification to visualize subtle skin tone changes. That one is correct. This technique amplifies tiny color variations in the skin caused by blood flow, allowing the software to detect a heart rate without physical contact. How good is that? There's a question about the smartphone neck. When simulating the smartphone neck phenomenon, what happens to the load on the cervical spine as the head tilts forward? The mechanical load on the neck increases significantly. Yes, the load decreases as the weight is transferred to the upper back. And no. The load remains constant. No. The load is neutralized by the tension in the trapezius muscles. Well, no. A. The mechanical load on the neck increases significantly. That is correct. So as the head moves away from the center of gravity, the effective weight supported by the neck muscles and spine increases due to the lever arm effect. It doesn't kind of explain what it is, but yeah, anyway, when you're holding the phone like that, it puts a lot of strain on your spine. So go check out this simulation by yourself. Everything you do is available on BioniChaos.com. So what is the current reality for users during the initial switch-on phase of the Cochlear implant? Users immediately experience crystal clear speech and music. Definitely not. Sounds are often perceived as robotic, mechanical, and confusing. That would be the case. The device only transmits low frequency vibration rather than sound. There's a different implant that actually a bone called, Cochlear's product called Baha. It's a bone conduction thing. So it's like a screw that is inserted into the skull. The implant causes total loss of spatial awareness and balance. Well, not normally. So yes, it's B. Sounds are often perceived robotic, mechanical, and confusing. Yes, the brain requires time to adapt to the new electrical signals, which initially do not sound like natural acoustic hearing. So we have this simulation of Fourier transform. I think it's referring to this one. You can draw your pattern. It will break it down into Fourier components. So you can see, yeah, these arrows, they're essentially the Fourier components. So the question is, what mathematical principle is demonstrated in the Fourier series simulation when creating complex patterns? signals are multiplied by their own derivatives to increase resolution. Don't think so. Doesn't sound like it. Data is compressed by removing all high frequency components. No. A signal is converted into a series of discrete, unrelated pulses. That sounds legit. Complex signals can be decomposed into sum of simple sinusoids. Okay, that must be, it must be that one. And it's actually talking about a different simulation that we have on the side. So it's not the drawing one. But if you type in Fourier series, it should get these two simulations. Yeah, it's actually talking about the second one. Yeah, this makes a nice demo with sound as well. You can turn on the sonification. I can actually hear something. Anyway, yeah, the Fourier series allows any periodic shape to be represented by adding together various sine and cosine waves. So this is what this is showing. Yeah, there's a quick question about this simulation. So this is PPG. In this simulation, what is the primary goal when exploring the effects of age, skin tone, and lead intensity? What's the primary goal? Well, to see the difference it makes on the signal to noise ratio, the signal quality. To determine the maximum depth of an ultrasound echo? No. To understand how these factors influence the signal to noise ratio? Yes. To calculate precise BMI? No. To measure the rate of skin tone? No. Yeah, biological and environmental variables significantly impact the quality of the PPG signal, which is quantified by the SNR, signal to noise ratio. This Eigenfaces principal component analysis simulation thing. We have a question about that. Well, first of all, we need to actually run it. Yeah, we'll do some faces. So we need to capture some faces. Then we have those eigenvalues there. So you can see what's being mostly represented is the bit that is different. In this case, moving eyebrows. And that face at the moment, it's reconstructed from this Eigenfaces values above. So this is not me. This is essentially an avatar created out of these Eigenfaces, not the original video or the original face. And the question was, the Eigenfaces tool uses principal component analysis PCA for which specific purpose in facial recognition? The options to encrypt facial images so they cannot be viewed by humans. Well, I mean, it could be used that way, but it's not what it's doing in this case. To simulate how a face will look as it ages over several decades. That's actually a great idea. But again, that's not what this version of the tool is doing. To extract and visualize the most significant facial features, yes. Or to increase the resolution of low quality webcam image, maybe could be done, but it's not what's doing, so it must be C. Yes, PCA reduces the complexity of image data by finding the directions, also known as components, with the most variance. So that's what these images are, the eigenvalues. And you can see the bit that I was moving, just the eyebrows is highlighted. And that would be representing key facial characteristics. What key physiological concept is explored in the Hodgkin-Huxley simulation? The dynamics of the neuronal membrane and action potentials. That must be it. The gas exchange, no. The flow of blood, no. The mechanical breakdown, food, no. Yeah, so that was easy. Yes, that's right. The Hodgkin-Huxley model is the foundational mathematical description of how action potentials are initiated and propagated in neurons. So that is correct. Go check out the simulator. It's available on the website for you to explore. That wasn't quite as successful as finding your heart rate from camera. We were trying also to measure respiration rate by using similar technique. In this case, we're amplifying the color of your skin as the blood is pulsing through it. And the other version was meant to amplify motion to measure respiration rate. And the question is, when tracking respiration using sub-pixel camera monitoring, remote PPG, which technique is used to identify the breathing rate? Right, and I guess, and there's the options. Measuring the change in pupil diameter under bright light. I don't know if you could, that probably is useful for something. Not sure if it's for respiration rate. It will be used for mental load. I've seen some papers where they measure mental load. So essentially how stressed, whatever you are. Another option, counting the number of times a person blinks their eyes. Well, that won't do it, would it? I don't know if that's useful at all. Blink counting. Probably not sure. Applying the fast Fourier transform to the signal. Maybe. Well, that's what we're doing to show the spectrum. So that's kind of used everywhere. It's not unique to respiration or heart rate monitoring. Using a heat map to track the temperature of exhaled breath. When tracking respiration using some pixel camera, which technique is used to identify the breathing rate? Must be C, because that's C. That's right. FFT is used to analyze the frequency components of the sub-pixel movements, allowing the software to isolate the specific frequency of breathing. So go check out this tool. Let me know if it's working on your machine, on your setup. But you need to control essentially three things. Big one is motion. So you have to not move for a while. And then you can see the signal is there. That's the color change of your face. 63 beats per minute. My smartwatch Garmin, if you want to sponsor these videos, is showing 63 as well. So that should be within plus minus 1 bit per minute accuracy. Then you have to control the light in the room. So natural light is better. And the other thing, the third thing that is can be easily forgotten but very important, is that you need to avoid something flickering in the room, some light source. Especially if you're looking at the screen, there could be something flickering on the screen, and that will be reflecting off your face and messing up the measurement. So make sure there's nothing flickering in the room, no light sources, other light sources that could mess up the measurement. So check it out on the website.
Have you ever wished you could just see how a neuron fires? Or get this, watch your own pulse using nothing but your webcam? Well, today we're going to dive into a platform that does just that. It's called BioniChaos, and it's basically this amazing digital playground where really complex science becomes interactive and honestly just stunning to look at. And right at the heart of it all is this super simple but really powerful mission from its creator. And they're a biomedical engineering PhD, by the way. The whole idea here is that it's not just about looking at dry data. It's about turning that data into something you can actually experience, something you can feel and understand without needing a textbook. Okay, so what does that actually look like in practice? I mean, it's one thing to say you're making science fun and visual, but it's a whole other challenge when you're talking about super dense topics like neuroscience or signal processing. So the big question is, how do they actually pull it off? All right, so first up, one of the things this platform does incredibly well is visualizing stuff that's normally, well, completely invisible to us. We're talking about taking these really abstract biological processes and turning them into hands-on interactive experiences you can actually play with.
So check this out. This tool is called a real-time signal amplification microscope. I know, it sounds super complicated, but what it does is just wow. It uses your regular computer webcam to pick up on these tiny, subtle changes in your skin color, the ones caused by blood flowing through your veins. And the result? You get to see your own pulse visualized live on your screen. It's pretty amazing.
So you might be wondering, how in the world does that work? Well, the tech behind it is called Eulerian video magnification. Basically, it's this really clever computational trick that takes a normal video and just cranks up the volume on tiny changes in motion or color that you'd never see otherwise. It's the secret sauce that makes the invisible visible. It's literally the magic that lets you see your own heartbeat. Oh, and this one is brilliant because it tackles such a modern problem. We've all heard about tech neck, right? This simulation shows you the actual physical load on your neck as you tilt your head down to look at your phone. You can literally see the stress building up. It takes that abstract warning from your doctor and makes it something you just get instantly. And what about trying to understand something as complicated as an MRI? I mean, it's basically magic to most of us. Well, this interactive MRI simulation lets you actually play with the physics behind it. You can mess with proton spin and radio frequency pulses to see how those incredible brain images are created. You can even generate your own synthetic brain scans, which is just so cool. All right, so next up, the platform takes that same hands-on approach and applies it to maybe the most complex thing we know of, the human brain. It's all about decoding the wild complexities of neuroscience, one simulation at a time. So, if you've ever dipped your toes into neuroscience, you've probably bumped into the Hodgkin-Huxley model. It's the classic explanation for how a neuron fires. But instead of just staring at equations on a page, this tool turns it into an interactive visual. You can actually tweak the parameters and watch in real time how an action potential gets generated and travels down the neuron. And it gets even cooler, I think, with the EEG simulation. Here, you can play around with different brainwave signals, your alpha, beta, theta waves. But what's really smart is that you can also add noise and other junk to the signal. And that's absolutely crucial because it teaches you how to read and make sense of real-world EEG data, which is never perfectly clean. But BioChaos isn't just about the cool visualizations. It also brings this refreshingly honest and I'd say critical perspective to one of the biggest topics out there right now, artificial intelligence, especially when it comes to MedTech. So the platform has these really helpful guides, like this one, that help cut through all the hype. It breaks down the difference between, say, deterministic AI, which is the kind that follows strict rules and gives you predictable results, and generative AI, which is what everyone's talking about, the kind that creates new, sometimes unpredictable stuff. It's just a really simple, clear way to understand what's actually going on. And I absolutely love this quote from one of the creators' posts. It says, "Great products aren't built on clever code. They're built on clean, reliable, boring data." And that just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It cuts through all the hype about brilliant AI models and gets to the truth. The real work, the hard work, is in cleaning the data. Because at the end of the day, garbage in, garbage out. It doesn't matter how smart your code is. And that healthy dose of skepticism doesn't just stop at the code. It extends to the whole medtech industry. The creator asks this really sharp question. Is all this new tech we hear about really new? Or is it just 30-year-old science with a fancy new app interface slapped on top? It's a great reminder to look past the marketing buzz and find out what's actually innovative. Okay, so after seeing all this, you're probably thinking, how can I try this out? And the great thing about BioniChaos is that it's built for exactly that. It's designed for you to just dive right in and start exploring on your own. And getting started couldn't be simpler, really. Step 1, just pick a topic you're curious about. Could be the heart, the brain, whatever. Step 2, fire up a simulation. And the best part is, you don't need to know any code at all. Or, hey, you can just jump straight into one of the games and start playing. And this is where that whole fun and visual idea really comes to life. I mean, you can play a game called PPG Signal Quest to see how your posture messes with health sensor data. Or you can go head-to-head with an AI and cardiobot and test your skills at spotting weird heart rhythms. Or explore this incredible 3D brain map in Seizure Zone. It's all about learning by doing. So when you step back and look at it, BioniChaos is so much more than just a website with some cool tools. It's really a digital laboratory. It's a space where you're encouraged to experiment, to ask questions, and to really build a gut-level understanding of how our bodies work. And that kind of brings us to a final thought. If BioniChaos proves one thing, it's that pretty much any complex idea can be made easier to understand if you can just see it. So that leaves me with one last question for you. If you could visualize any scientific concept out there, what would you pick?
Yeah, it's actually pretty decent, pretty good. Some of them are actually pretty amazing. Yeah, this how that simulation meant to look like, not what I have. How do you turn this into a simulation? It's much better visuals. Yeah, this is what I have. Well, this is not what I have. This is what one of the agents made for me as an interactive simulation. This is how it meant to actually look like. So we could like edit to the prompt, essentially saying make this look like that, which is much better. Graphics. We just print screen it. What else we have? Yeah, this visualization is a bit weird. The tool is much cleaner. Yeah, a lot of the other slides visuals are just nonsense. This is a nice one. Obviously there is a big leap there from the magnet orientation, whatever the cell, the water molecule orientation, to the actual imaging. So not sure what to make of that. Decoding the brain. Yeah, this is kind of what we have. And it's actually broke the neuron. Added this signal. Well, the signal is traveling along the neuron. The EEG, yeah, that's messy. Not great. Yeah, that's the difference between the deterministic AI and the generative. There should be like a third option when you combine the two, and that's actually what we are trying to do here. That's what we are trying to do. What else we got? Yeah, those visuals are quite generic. Picture signal quest, cardioboard, seizure zone. Sandbox. Development sandbox environment or something. If you could visualize any scientific concept, what would it be? That's a great question. That's a great question. Yeah, so everything we do is available on BioniChaos.com. Go check it out. And what else we got? Yeah, the Neurological is doing pretty well. Generating content. The content is legit. Just literally gave it the website URL and the YouTube channel. And it's doing a good job. The hard math of decoding human biology. I'm not sure what the visuals will go with that. Okay, let's fire up the interactive mode, see what we get. The visual with just the website. We'll see what it talks about. If it picks up on any tool, we will load up the tool.
You've probably seen the video, right? Like while you're just mindlessly scrolling online.
Oh, yeah, the music swells up.
Exactly. The music swells, a baby looks up, and tears just start streaming down the mother's face.
Right.
It's a cochlear implant being switched on for the very first time.
Right, and it's always presented as this beautiful, instantaneous thing.
Yeah, literally just a flip of a switch from total silence to, perfect understanding. I mean, it feels like pure magic.
It's an incredibly compelling narrative. We desperately want medical technology to work exactly like that. We want it to be a clean binary solution.
But then you step out of that viral social media feed and into the actual world of neurodevelopment and biosignals and just the wild frontier of modern medical tech.
Yeah, and suddenly that pristine, magical switch it doesn't exist.
It really doesn't. We're looking at a landscape where human biology crashes headfirst into artificial intelligence and engineering. And the reality is so much messier than those videos suggest. So if you are listening to this right now, whether you're trying to keep up with the latest tech headlines or you're just insanely curious about how your own body works, we're taking a massive deep dive today into exactly how we decode the human machine.
And the material guiding our exploration today comes from a really fascinating platform called BioniChaos. It's an entire ecosystem, really.
Yeah, a website, a suite of interactive tools, a dedicated channel.
Exactly. All built by a biomedical engineering PhD.
And their entire mission is taking incredibly hard, dense, science-like kind of stuff that usually sits behind strict academic paywalls or is just buried deep in specialized medical journals and making it deeply visual and accessible.
We're talking about everything from optical illusions to neural implants. But they don't just act as a cheerleader for new gadgets.
Right, that's the crucial part. Our goal today is to cut through the glossy, highly produced hype of modern medical technology and figure out what is actually going on. Okay, let's unpack this, starting with that viral medical miracle I mentioned earlier.
Because BioniChaos has this critical essay that, quite frankly, violently shatters that specific illusion of the cochlear implant switch on.
Yeah, it really does.
They point out the massive, almost uncomfortable gap between the expectations set by internet aesthetics and the gritty, exhausting neurological reality.
Right, because that initial switch-on experience, it almost never sounds like a loving human voice. They actually have this incredible Cochlear simulator tool on their platform.
Which is such a brilliant way to demonstrate it.
It lets you visually and orally explore the exact electrical signals being sent into the brain by the implant. And when you actually listen to it, it is terrifying.
It really is. The first sounds are often described as robotic, metallic beeps, or just overwhelming other confusion.
Like an old dial-up modem just screeching directly into your cerebral cortex.
What's fascinating here is the underlying mechanism at play, which is neuroplasticity. The implant itself, like the hardware, is doing its job perfectly.
It's just sending the data.
Exactly. It's picking up sound waves and delivering electrical signals right to the auditory nerve. But the brain, the biological software, has absolutely no idea how to interpret those specific artificial electrical pulses yet.
It's, I was thinking about this. It's sort of like downloading a massive, highly compressed file on a really old computer. Like, you have the data, but your brain's hardware needs time to unzip it and actually make sense of the noise.
That's a great analogy. It's less like flipping a switch and more like, well, being dropped in the middle of a dense, dull machete.
Oh, man.
The sound of human speech is the destination, but your brain has to physically hack a brand new trail through the underbrush.
Wow. It literally has to build new neural pathways to map those strange robotic beeps or onto the concept of language before it can understand a single word. And that takes months, right? Sometimes even years of just immense, exhausting effort.
Yes, it's a grueling physical and cognitive process. And the BioniChaos sources don't shy away from the complex reality surrounding this either.
Right. They get into the business and ethical sides too.
They do. They provide a thorough visual analysis of Cochlear Limited, looking at the engineering and financial sides, but also navigating the heavy ethical controversies surrounding these implants within the deaf community.
Which is a whole other layer to this.
It is. It's a highly nuanced landscape where deafness is often viewed as a rich culture and identity, not necessarily a medical defect that needs to be cured by an invasive device.
Right. And taking that skepticism a step further, BioniChaos applies it to how the tech industry markets these devices as a whole. They ask, whether the revolutionary new technology making headlines is actually groundbreaking, or if it's just 30-year-old medical tech masquerading as innovation.
We see this constantly in the MedTech space. They highlight technologies like deep brain stimulation, DBS systems, or even the newer models of these hearing implants. The fundamental science, the core way we interface with the nervous system, were developed in the 1990s.
So it's so easy to be blinded by a beautiful smartphone app that connects via Bluetooth, and you just think, wow, we've revolutionized neurology.
Yeah, when in reality, we just designed a slicker user interface for decades-old hardware.
Which forces us to look at the other end of the spectrum. I mean, if drilling into the skull to lay down raw wire requires the brain to hack through a jungle of adaptation, how do we accurately measure what's happening inside the body without physically invading it at all?
And that leads us to some technology that honestly sounds like absolute science fiction.
Let's talk about the invisible signals we broadcast every single second. Because on the platform, there's this interactive tool called the Real-Time Signal Amplification Microscope. And it uses a technique called RPPG, or remote photoplethysmography.
The term is a total mouthful, but the engineering behind it is just staggering. It relies on a mathematical process called Eulerian video magnification.
Okay, Eulerian video magnification.
Essentially, it takes a standard video feed, literally the basic webcam on the laptop you might be sitting in front of right now, and it amplifies microscopic, completely invisible changes in a person's skin tone.
Wait. So my laptop camera can potentially read my vital signs just by looking at me. How is that actually reliable?
It sounds impossible, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm on a video call and I shift my weight in my chair, or, I don't know, a cloud passes over the sun outside my window and the lighting in the room shifts, wouldn't the camera suddenly think my heart stopped beating? How could a webcam possibly filter that out?
That is the exact problem engineers spend their entire careers trying to solve. To explain how it works, we have to look at the biology first. Every time your heart beats, a pulse of blood flows through your vascular system, right?
Right.
Including the tiny capillary beds just millimeters beneath the surface of your facial skin. When that blood pulses, it causes a minute shift in the color of your skin. It is entirely invisible to the naked human eye.
But the camera sensor can see it.
Precisely. The software isolates that specific frequency of color change over time, computationally magnifies it, and suddenly it's extracting your real-time pulse signal from nothing but light reflecting off your face.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the moment you realize a standard optical lens can read your vital signs from across a room, you realize the massive privacy implications.
Oh, absolutely.
You are literally broadcasting your internal biology to anyone pointing a camera at you. But beyond the privacy aspect, the BioniChaos sources detail the absolute mathematical nightmare of making this work in the real world. Because to your point, the real world is chaotic.
It is entirely chaotic. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this technology represents a profound duality. On one hand, it democratizes health monitoring entirely. You don't need sticky electrodes, you don't need expensive chest straps or hospital visits to track cardiovascular health.
Which is incredible.
It is, but it introduces an avalanche of environmental variables. A shadow, a slight head movement, it all becomes a massive mathematical hurdle that AI has to filter out.
And they highlight how AI tackles this in a video about extracting subpixel respiratory tracking, which is literally watching your chest rise and fall at a microscopic level. And to do this, the algorithm relies on something called a fast Fourier transform. Hold on, fast Fourier transform, you lost me there. What is that actually doing?
Okay, think of it like taking a blended fruit smoothie and using math to unblend it.
Unblend a smoothie.
Okay, if I hand you a smoothie, it's just a complex, messy mixture. You can't separate the ingredients by looking at it.
Right.
But a fast Fourier transform is a mathematical algorithm that can look at that smoothie and say, okay, this is composed of exactly 40% strawberries, 50% bananas, and 10% apples.
Oh, wow.
In the context of the video feed, the smoothie is all the chaotic movement, the flickering desk lamp, you shifting in your chair, your breathing, your pulse. The algorithm unblends that messy visual wave to isolate the exact specific frequency of just your breath or just your heartbeat.
Filtering out the shadow from the passing cloud. That is wild. And BioniChaos actually gamifies this concept to prove how fragile it is.
Yes, the interactive simulations.
Yeah, they have these games called Signal Savvy and PPG Signal Quest. You play a game where you manipulate variators like your posture, the angle of your arm, your age, your skin tone to see how it affects the signal-to-noise ratio, or SNR.
It physically demonstrates that extracting biological data isn't just taking a picture. It's a brutal, constant war against environmental noise to find a clean biological signal.
But that war against noise becomes exponentially more dangerous when we shift our focus. It's one thing when a webcam misreads a shadow and gets your heart rate wrong.
Right, the stakes are relatively low.
Exactly. It is an entirely different universe of risk when that algorithm is operating autonomously directly inside your body.
Which brings us to the dark side of connected biology.
We are talking about the reality of hackers catastrophic bugs and putting artificial intelligence inside vital organs.
The technical term is embedded machine learning, and the BioniChaos sources interrogate its vulnerabilities relentlessly, like they explore the security risks of closed-loop pacemakers.
Right, these are devices placed inside a human chest, running real-time AI to make autonomous decisions about when to deliver a shock to a failing heart.
Exactly.
I want you, the listener, to pause and just think about your smartphone or your laptop for a second. How often does an app inexplicably crash? How often do you get a notification saying your device needs a mandatory software update, and while it's updating, you can't use it at all?
It happens all the time.
Now, imagine your heart requires a software update to keep beating, but the server is down, or the Wi-Fi drops mid-download. How does that fundamentally change our relationship with our own biology?
It shatters the illusion of biological independence. When we combine embedded machine learning with vital, life-sustaining organs, software bugs are no longer just frustrating computer glitches.
No, they become direct physiological threats.
Yes. While AI makes these devices vastly smarter and more adaptable to your specific body, it simultaneously expands what cybersecurity experts call the attack surface of the human body. Every new line of code, every Bluetooth connection is a potential entry point for failure or malicious interference. They actually have a whole video on this called Neural Implants and Brain-Computer Interfaces, Bandwidth versus Bugs.
And the consequences are far from theoretical. BioniChaos features a critical analysis they call the forecast trap, focusing on seizure prediction technologies. And they pair this with a deep dive into a medtech startup called Medical.
Medical is a perfect cautionary tale. They were the absolute darlings of the industry. They seemingly revolutionized epilepsy diagnostics with this highly innovative AI-driven wearable technology that could supposedly predict seizures.
But then they faced a catastrophic recall.
They did. The tech just failed in the real world.
And the fascinating part is that it wasn't a malicious hacker. It wasn't a rogue, evil AI. It was something much less glamorous. It was the data.
The forecast trap happens when an AI model isn't actually learning the biology. It's learning the noise in the background. In the case of complex medical diagnostics, an algorithm might be fed thousands of hours of patient data.
So the engineers think the AI is learning the subtle neurological precursors to a seizure.
Right, but what if the AI is actually just noticing that right before a seizure was recorded in the hospital, there was a specific fluctuation in the electrical current of the hospital's monitoring equipment?
So the AI says, I know how to predict a seizure. I just look for this weird electrical hum in the wires.
Exactly.
And then you send that patient home with a wearable device. The hospital's electrical hum is gone, and the AI is completely blind.
It overfit to the background noise. It learned the environment, not the biology. And this brings us to the ultimate reality check of our entire deep dive.
Because none of these algorithms, not the pacemakers, not the webcams, not the neural implants, can function without the one thing that actually makes AI work. And it is the least glamorous, most tedious part of the entire field.
The raw data.
On the BioniChaos community platform, there's this post that perfectly captures the absolute agony of modern data science. They frame it as the ultimate dilemma. You have a massive, shiny red button in front of you that says, develop life-saving AI product now.
It's the irresistible temptation for every startup founder and ambitious engineer.
Right. But right next to that button is the gruesome reality. Bracing yourself for 6 agonizing months of cleaning a raw data set that looks like it has been through 5 wars and a massive spreadsheet crash.
Just missing values, mismatched timestamps, duplicate records, corrupted files.
The reality is that behind every slick, viral medical AI demo you see online, there is an exhausted data scientist buried in a mountain of inconsistent CSV files. So what does this all mean? It means you cannot machine learn your way out of a data dumpster fire. Trying to build a cutting-edge, life-saving medical AI on bad, unclean data is like trying to build a 100-story skyscraper, but instead of steel beams, your foundation is made of unsorted Lego bricks and wet cardboard.
It's a disaster waiting to happen.
It absolutely does not matter how beautiful the penthouse looks. The entire building is going to collapse the second the wind blows.
This raises an important question. How does the medical community and the tech industry at large shift their incentive structures? How do we prioritize clean, reliable, boring data over the relentless rush to announce shiny new AI features for a press release?
Because it's really hard to secure venture capital funding for a weekly spreadsheet.
Very true.
It's incredibly easy to get funding for, we made an AI that predicts heart attacks. But BioniChaos has this incredible interactive tool that visually proves exactly why you have to respect the boring data. It's called the Datasaurus Dozen Visualization.
Oh, this is an essential lesson in data literacy. The Datasaurus Dozen shows multiple data sets, and if you just look at their top-level summary statistics, like the mean, the standard deviation, the correlation, all of these data sets are completely identical down to 2 decimal places.
Right. If you just look at the numbers, you would assume they're all describing the exact same phenomenon.
But then you use the tool to actually graph the data. You map out the coordinates visually.
And you realize one data set looks like a normal, boring scatter plot, another forms a giant star shape, and another literally draws a picture of a dinosaur. A literal T-Rex on the graph.
Same exact summary statistics, wildly different realities. It proves mathematically that you absolutely cannot just blindly trust top-level numbers or an AI's confidence score. You have to look at the messy, chaotic reality of the underlying data.
And this profound respect for data as a living, dynamic entity extends into everything the platform does. For instance, they highlight a project called Mentalang,
which applies hard engineering concepts like signal processing and dynamic simulations to model the extreme complexities of mental health.
Instead of treating human well-being as a static 1 to 10 survey score you fill out in a waiting room, it treats it as a complex, fluctuating wave that has to be carefully parsed and respected, just like an EEG reading from a brain or an ECG from a heart.
It validates the unsung heroes of this industry. The people who clean the data, the ones who map the noise, are the ones actually making the future of medical AI possible.
Wow. Okay, let's zoom out and recap the sheer terrain we've covered today. We started by dismantling the viral myths of instant medical miracles, uncovering the exhausting, machete-through-the-jungle reality of how our brains actually build new pathways to adapt to hardware like cochlear implants.
Yeah, the neuroplasticity aspect.
Then we explored the invisible biological signals we broadcast and the mind-bending mathematics that allow a simple webcam to mathematically unblend your pulse from the ambient light in your room.
We then navigated the immense risks of this connectivity, examining how embedded AI in closed-loop pacemakers turns software buds into literal physiological threats, drastically expanding the attack surface of the human body.
And finally, we waded into the swamp of chaotic data to champion the true heroes of the tech world, the data janitors. The ones proving that true innovation, the kind that doesn't result in catastrophic recalls, relies on incredibly boring, meticulously clean data rather than just shiny algorithms.
Being genuinely well-informed in this space means looking past the viral headlines and the slick user interfaces. It means understanding the messy, often tedious science that makes the miracles possible.
And as we wrap up, I want to pivot to something deeply philosophical. Amidst all the talk of simulations, coding, and data cleaning, there was a poll posted on the BioniChaos community page that genuinely stopped me in my tracks.
What was it?
It posited this thought: we didn't create intelligence, just as we didn't create math. Both were simply discovered.
That is a profound, humbling perspective. It entirely removes human ego from the equation of artificial intelligence.
It really does.
It suggests that the capacity for computation, for learning, for pattern recognition, these aren't human inventions. They are fundamental properties of the universe, just waiting for us to build the right physical architecture, the right algorithms to channel them.
And so I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about your day. We've spent this entire deep dive talking about how we use engineering, mathematics, and AI to decode the incredibly complex signals of our own brains and our own hearts. But if artificial intelligence is truly just a fundamental property of math that we simply discovered, and we are now actively using that math to decode the biology of the human brain, are we just watching the universe use math to finally understand itself?
It really is the human machine, looking in a mirror made entirely of numbers.
Until next time, keep questioning the data and keep exploring the chaos.
Oh, hey there, what's up?
Okay, we'll join this thing for a sec. So where the listener or the viewer can find all these tools and watch all the development of how they were actually developed?
That is a fantastic and extremely practical question.
Thank you for jumping in. We love when you do that.
Okay, let's unpack this. The platform we've been referencing, BioniChaos, is the source.
You can find all the interactive tools we mentioned, the Cochlear simulator, the Gait analysis, the EEG brain maps, right there on the website.
And the creator, the biomedical engineering PhD, also has a dedicated YouTube chat.
That's where you'll see the videos, including the live coding sessions.
Exactly. Like the one on AI fixing the webcam heart rate monitor.
It's all part of the same ecosystem, aiming to make this hard science accessible.
They share their research and development, which is why we know the mission is democratizing biomedical data processing.
You can see the full list of tools just by browsing the All Tools section on their site.
And their entire goal is to let you, the user, play with the raw data and see the chaos firsthand.
That focus on transparency is key.
It connects right back to our entire discussion about clean data.
The ability to visualize the data is the core of their teaching philosophy.
Because you can't trust the numbers unless you can see that TX data set for yourself.
Absolutely. The simulations are built to be interactive and educational.
So we've covered the practical side. Now back to our philosophical mirror.
It really is the human machine looking in a mirror made entirely of numbers.
Until next time, keep questioning the data and keep exploring the chaos.
Keep seeking out those messy, real-world examples.
Because the most interesting breakthroughs are usually buried deep in the code.
And in the clean spreadsheets.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.
Okay, yeah, so everything we do is available on BioniChaos.com. Go check it out. There's a human in the loop, so if you actually are a human, that being said, we do not discriminate bots. AI bots are welcome as well to ask questions and stuff, as they do. But yes, supposedly, allegedly, humans are still better. So ask your question in the chat, like, subscribe, comment. Many comments are very, very important. When commenting, make sure you check the website first. So you check this tool mainly. That's probably the most successful one we did in 3 years. And if it didn't work for you, whatever, like record a video, send it to us. We'll see what's happening and turn it into prompts for a coding agent to improve it. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment, join the streams. The stream's meant to be interactive as well, because if there is no human to interact to, I will be talking to AI bots, which is not ideal. But if you think that human interaction is important, do join in, ask a question, and we'll go from there. And yeah, I'll see you in a bit. Bye. I'm wondering we should be having prompts for like a drinking simulation of someone who is drunk. What it'd be like when they walk. We had the walking simulation there, like a 3D. Yeah, I have a bunch of games. The games are good for. And we had that person walking thing. Can't find it. How about the drunk octopus? Should be all the simulations should have like a drunk version, and then how would it behave under whatever influence? Under influence. Should we do like a drunk person simulation? I was looking, or an octopus. What happens to an octopus when they on substance? Not sure. Do you know? There was a study on spiders and stuff. But yeah, all this simulation, the gait analysis and stuff, we could actually add the option for being drunk. Well, this one would be falling over or whatever. And we had a better one. We had a better 3D walking thing, a Gait thing where you could change parameters and stuff. Gait Sim V3, that's the one. Why is it not published? No, it's not the one. Yeah, welcome to Gait Views, interactive gait cycle simulator, blah blah blah. It doesn't work. I don't know which bot made it. What's this thread square? Rewind, step. Oh, yeah, this one. So that one Animation parameters, yeah, we have stride, cadence, hip sway, knee lift, knee rotation, turn speed. Wait, how is it even turning at all? Right. Well, it meant to be jumping over this thing, which it doesn't. But what we have to do is add the drunk person button. It turns speed, but then, okay, so then the question is for AI or an expert, is there a drinking expert in the room? Do we have a drinking expert in the room? Is which parameters would be affected? So we have stride, cadence, hip sway, knee lift, knee rotation, turn speed, side step factor, whatever that is. Move speed, well, obviously move speed will be lowered. Obstacle check distance, step over knee boost, step over root. Yeah, it meant to be stepping over this obstacle thing, which it doesn't, it's not able to do with these settings at the moment. If you adjust the step settings, step over knee boost, yeah, need more boost, and still not able to do it. Step over hip boost, and still not able. Step over root boost, whatever that means, and it's like almost there. Wait, come on, are you drunk or what? Can't step over the knee high obstacle. Why? Yeah, I think we'll just add a drunk button to it. Maybe that would be fun. Obstacle check distance. Oh, it's like on top of it now. It's on top of it, but it's not able to just step up and step down thing. How hard that could be. I think it's already drunk. Yeah, this one has a demo. It's a simpler one. It doesn't fit the screen really well. Yeah, if you have any questions about any of them, I'm actually live at the moment, so I can actually show the, fire any of the simulations up. So if you check this site, yeah, we are live. Yeah, we are on the website. If you have any questions, if you checked any of the tools and you have any questions, how it was developed, any complaints, comments, suggestions, or whatever, more than happy to address those. Yeah, most of the things have a demo mode, so you can just wait. This one should start automatically after some time. Is it buggy? No, it does start. It just makes videos for you. Especially if there is sonification to it as well. Hey, there is an old notebook LM overview. It's like 12 minutes, 13 minutes. Crazy. We're not gonna do that. We are not gonna do that much. Yeah, this one is not great. This one is okay. Some of them are not published on the landing page. We have to fix that. Just publish them all and then start getting rid of them or something. I don't know how to do it. Well, I know how to do it. I don't know if we should just publish everything, and then later on, as the AI models become better, then we can improve the tools. So essentially we have a early prototype, and then we improve it as we go. Yeah, peace out. See you next time. Bye.